The Whispering Forest. In the small, peaceful village of Elderglen, nestled at the edge of an ancient forest, lived a curious young girl named Emma. Elderglen was a place where time seemed to slow down, where the days were filled with the gentle sounds of rustling leaves and chirping birds, and the nights were painted with the soft glow of lanterns and the comforting hush of the wind. The villagers often spoke in hushed tones about the forest, sharing tales of trees that whispered secrets when the wind blew just right. Emma had always been fascinated by these stories. Her grandmother, a wise old woman with twinkling eyes and a voice as soft as a lullaby, would tell her bedtime tales of the forest's magic, of talking animals, hidden paths, and ancient trees that remembered everything. Emma would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, imagining what secrets the forest held. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emma sat by her window, gazing at the forest's edge. A gentle breeze drifted through the open window, carrying with it the faintest sound. A whisper, soft and melodic, like the forest was calling her name. Unable to resist, Emma slipped on her favorite cloak, a gift from her grandmother, and quietly tiptoed out of the house. The village was calm, with only the distant flicker of lanterns lighting the cobblestone streets. She made her way to the edge of the forest, where the trees stood tall and proud, their leaves shimmering in the twilight. As she stepped into the forest, the world seemed to change. The air grew cooler, filled with the scent of moss and wildflowers. The path beneath her feet was soft and welcoming, and the trees above seemed to lean in, their branches forming a protective canopy. The whispers grew louder, guiding her deeper into the woods. Emma walked for what felt like hours, though the forest's enchantment made time feel different, as if it were stretching and folding in on itself. Along the way, she encountered a curious squirrel with bright eyes and a bushy tail, who chattered at her in a language she almost understood. Further along, a family of deer crossed her path, their graceful movements silent and serene. As night fully settled in, the forest began to glow. Tiny specks of light, fireflies, danced around her, illuminating her path. She came upon a small clearing where a majestic old oak tree stood, its trunk wide and gnarled, its branches stretching high into the sky. Sitting on one of the lower branches was Orin, a wise old owl with feathers as white as snow and eyes that sparkled like stars. "Welcome, Emma," Orin hooted gently. "We've been expecting you." Emma's heart fluttered with excitement and curiosity. "You know my name?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Orin nodded. "The forest knows many things. It has watched over you since you were a child. And now, it's time for you to learn its secrets." Orin told Emma about the heart tree, an ancient tree hidden deep within the forest. The heart tree held the wisdom of the entire forest, and it whispered truths to those who were brave and kind enough to find it. But the journey was not an easy one. Emma would need to navigate the forest's challenges and help those she met along the way. Determined, Emma set off on her quest, with Orin guiding her from above. She crossed bubbling brooks, climbed moss-covered hills, and wandered through groves of silver-leaf trees that shimmered in the moonlight. Along her journey, she met a lost fox cub named Finn, whose fiery red fur stood out against the forest's cool tones. Finn had been separated from his family during a storm, and Emma promised to help him find his way home. Together, they continued deeper into the forest, facing gentle trials that tested Emma's courage and kindness. They helped a family of hedgehogs rebuild their burrow after a fallen branch destroyed it, and freed a tiny bird trapped in a thicket of thorns. With each act of kindness, the forest seemed to grow brighter and the whispers clearer. After what felt like days of traveling, Emma and Finn finally reached a serene glade bathed in silver light. At its center stood the Heart Tree, a magnificent, towering tree with leaves that glowed like stars and roots that pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic hum. The air around the tree was warm and comforting, filled with the soft whispers of countless voices. Emma approached the tree with reverence, placing her hand on its trunk. Instantly, she felt a connection, as if the tree was sharing its ancient knowledge with her. She saw visions of the forest's history, its joys and sorrows, and the interconnectedness of all living things. The Heart Tree's whispers spoke of balance, kindness, and the importance of listening to the world's quiet voices. With a heart full of gratitude and newfound wisdom, Emma knew it was time to return home. The forest had shared its secrets, and now it was her turn to carry them forward. Guided by the gentle light of the Heart Tree, Emma and Finn made their way back through the forest. The trees seemed to part for them, their whispers now familiar and comforting. When they reached Finn's den, his family rushed out to greet him, their joyful reunion filling the air with warmth. As Emma stepped out of the forest and into the village, the first light of dawn painted the sky in soft pastels. She returned home, slipping quietly into her bed, the whispers of the forest still echoing in her mind. From that day on, Emma carried the forest's wisdom in her heart. She shared its stories with the villagers, teaching them to listen to the world's quiet voices and to find beauty in its gentle whispers. And every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma would sit by her window, listening to the forest's call, knowing that its magic would always be a part of her. The floating lanterns. In the quaint, riverside town of Luma, nestled between rolling hills and shimmering waters, there was a magical tradition that had been passed down through generations. Every year, on the night of the full moon, the townsfolk would gather by the riverbanks to release glowing lanterns into the sky, each one carrying a wish, a dream, or a hope. The event was called the Night of Wishes, and it was the most cherished celebration in Luma. Lucas, a curious and imaginative boy with a heart full of wonder, had always been fascinated by the floating lanterns. He would sit by the river every year, watching the sky fill with tiny, glowing orbs, wondering where they went and if they ever reached the stars. This year, however, felt different. Lucas had a special wish in his heart, one he had never dared to voice before. As the night of the festival approached, he felt an unexplainable pull, as if the lanterns were calling to him. The evening of the Night of Wishes arrived, and the town of Luma was alive with excitement. Lanterns of every color and size lined the streets, their soft glow reflecting off the cobblestone paths. Families gathered, laughter mingling with the gentle sounds of the river's flow. Lucas stood by the water, clutching his lantern tightly. He had written his wish carefully. I wish to find where the lanterns go. As the countdown began, the townsfolk released their lanterns into the sky, watching as they floated higher and higher, becoming tiny stars in the vast night. But when Lucas let go of his lantern, something unexpected happened. His lantern wobbled, flickered, and then it drifted sideways, refusing to rise like the others. Confused and determined, Lucas followed the stubborn lantern as it glided gently along the riverbank, as if leading him somewhere. Lucas trailed the lantern through winding paths and over small wooden bridges, far beyond where he had ever ventured. The town's lights faded behind him, replaced by the soft glow of the lantern ahead. After what felt like hours, the lantern floated into a hidden valley, nestled between two towering hills. The valley was bathed in a gentle, otherworldly light, and Lucas felt a sense of calm wash over him. In the center of the valley, the lantern finally came to rest above a small, crystal-clear pond. As Lucas approached, the surface of the pond began to shimmer and ripple, and to his amazement, the reflection in the water was not of the night sky, but of a vast, star-filled world, unlike anything he had ever seen. The lantern dipped into the water and vanished, leaving Lucas staring at the magical reflection. Before Lucas could process what he was seeing, a gentle voice called out from the shadows, "Welcome, Lucas." He turned to find a graceful deer with antlers that glowed like moonlight standing at the edge of the pond. Beside the deer was a playful wind sprite, swirling in the air like a soft breeze, its laughter like the tinkling of bells. "We are the guardians of the lanterns," the deer explained in a soothing voice. "Each lantern carries a wish, and it is our duty to guide them to the world where dreams come true. But few humans have ever followed their lanterns here." Lucas's heart swelled with wonder. "I wish to find where the lanterns go," he whispered. The wind sprite twirled around him, giggling. "And so you did, but your journey isn't over yet. Would you like to see where the wishes go?" Lucas nodded eagerly, and with that, the deer's antlers glowed brighter, and the pond's surface opened like a doorway. Hand in hand with the wind sprite and guided by the deer's gentle light, Lucas stepped into the pond. Instead of feeling wet, it was like walking through a cool, soft mist. On the other side, Lucas found himself in a breathtaking world where the sky was a deep, velvety blue, and countless lanterns floated like stars. The air was filled with the soft hum of wishes being whispered into the universe. They floated past floating islands covered in glowing flowers, through forests where trees sang lullabies, and over rivers of light that sparkled like liquid stars. Along the way, Lucas met other guardians. A wise old turtle who carried ancient wishes on his back, and a flock of glowing birds that wove dreams into the clouds. As they traveled, Lucas realized that each lantern represented someone's deepest hope. Some were wishes for love, others for health, happiness, or adventure. The lantern's light grew brighter as they found their rightful place among the stars, becoming part of the universe's eternal glow. After what felt like both a moment and a lifetime, Lucas felt a gentle tug at his heart. It was time to return. The deer and the wind sprite guided him back to the pond's edge in the hidden valley. "Your wish has been fulfilled, Lucas," the deer said with a serene smile. "You now know where the lanterns go, and you carry their light within you." Lucas felt a warmth in his chest, as if the glow of 1,000 lanterns had settled in his heart. He thanked his new friends and watched as the valley slowly faded into the early morning mist. When Lucas finally returned to Luma, the sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky with soft hues of pink and gold. The town was still and quiet, but Lucas felt the magic lingering in the air. He knew his life had changed forever. Every year after that, during the Night of Wishes, Lucas would release his lantern with a knowing smile. He no longer wondered where the lanterns went, because he had been there, and he knew that the wishes of Luma were lighting up the universe, one glowing dream at a time. And as he drifted to sleep each night, Lucas could still hear the soft hum of the lanterns, carrying dreams across the sky, whispering promises of hope and wonder to all who believed. The cloud's gentle ride, opening the feather in the meadow. In the small, sleepy village of Windmere, where the days were filled with the songs of birds and the scent of wildflowers, lived a little girl named Lila. Windmere was a place where clouds drifted lazily across the sky, casting soft, dappled shadows over rolling meadows and sparkling streams. Lila loved nothing more than to lie in the grass, staring up at the clouds and imagining the shapes they formed. A dragon here, a castle there, sometimes even a ship sailing across the sky. One breezy afternoon, as Lila wandered through her favorite meadow, she spotted something unusual fluttering in the tall grass. It was a feather, but unlike any she had ever seen. It shimmered with a soft, silvery glow, and when she picked it up, it felt light as air, as if it might float away at any moment. As she held it in her hand, a gentle wind swirled around her, lifting her hair and filling her with a sense of wonder. Before she could react, the feather began to glow brighter, and suddenly, a fluffy cloud descended from the sky, stopping just above the ground. The cloud was soft and inviting, like the coziest bed imaginable. With a heart full of curiosity and excitement, Lila climbed onto the cloud, and it lifted her gently into the sky. The journey begins. As the cloud carried Lila higher and higher, she gazed down at her village growing smaller below. The world stretched out beneath her, a patchwork of green fields, blue rivers, and golden hills. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scent of rain and the faint sound of distant birdsong. The cloud drifted lazily through the sky, guided by the soft whispers of the wind. Lila felt a deep sense of calm as she floated above the world, the gentle rocking of the cloud lulling her into a peaceful state. She passed over sleepy forests where the trees seemed to wave at her, and sparkling lakes that mirrored the sky above. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, Lila noticed something glowing in the distance. It was a floating island, suspended in the sky like a dream. The cloud carried her closer, and she saw that the island was covered in glowing flowers and soft, luminescent grasses that shimmered under the fading light. The sky creatures. As Lila's cloud touched down on the island, she was greeted by gentle, sky-dwelling creatures. There were cloud sprites, small beings made of mist and light, who danced and twirled in the air like floating fireflies. A majestic sky whale, its body glowing with constellations, glided silently through the air above her, singing a deep, soothing melody that resonated in her chest. One of the cloud sprites, named Zephyr, floated down to Lila with a friendly smile. "Welcome, Lila," Zephyr said in a voice as soft as a breeze. "You have found the feather of the skies, and it has brought you here to share the secrets of the clouds." Lila's eyes sparkled with wonder. "What secrets?" she asked. Zephyr twirled in the air, leaving a trail of glowing mist behind. "The clouds carry the dreams of the world," he explained. "They drift across the skies, gathering the hopes and wishes of people below. And sometimes, they choose someone special to share their journey." The dreamscapes. With Zephyr as her guide, Lila embarked on a magical journey through the sky's dreamscapes. The cloud carried her to places she had never imagined. A sea of stars where she could reach out and touch the constellations. A glowing forest where the trees whispered ancient stories, and a mountain made entirely of soft, glowing clouds. In each place, Lila met creatures who shared their dreams with her. She helped the starlight fox find its way home, listened to the lullabies of moonflowers that bloomed only at night, and watched as shooting stars painted the sky with trails of light. Each encounter filled her heart with warmth and wonder, and she felt more connected to the world than ever before. As the journey continued, Lila realized that the cloud was not just carrying her through the sky. It was carrying her through the dreams of others. She could feel the hopes and wishes of people from far and wide, woven into the fabric of the clouds themselves. The return home, after what felt like both a moment and a lifetime, the cloud began to drift back towards Windmere. The sun was rising, casting a soft, golden glow over the world below. As the cloud descended, Lila could see her village waking up, the rooftops glowing in the morning light. Zephyr floated beside her, his misty form shimmering in the dawn. "Thank you for joining us, Lila," he whispered. "You carry the dreams of the sky within you now." Lila smiled, her heart full of gratitude. As the cloud gently touched down in her meadow, she stepped off, the feather of the skies still clutched in her hand. She watched as the cloud rose back into the sky, drifting away on the morning breeze. A dream to remember. From that day on, Lila felt the sky's presence in everything she did. She would lie in the meadow, staring up at the clouds, knowing that they carried the dreams of the world. And every night, as she drifted off to sleep, she could feel the gentle rocking of the cloud and hear the soft whispers of the wind, guiding her into a world of dreams and wonder. And somewhere high above, Zephyr and the other sky creatures watched over her, knowing that Lila was now a part of the sky's gentle ride, forever connected to the dreams of the world. The secret of the moon garden, opening the mysterious glow. In the quiet town of Silverbrook, nestled between gentle hills and surrounded by ancient woods, lived a curious girl named Mia. Silverbrook was a place where stories of magic were whispered among the townsfolk, tales of hidden places and enchanted nights. But Mia never believed in those stories, until one evening when she noticed something unusual. It was a cool, clear night, and the full moon hung low in the sky, casting its silver light over Mia's backyard. As she gazed out of her bedroom window, she saw a faint, shimmering glow coming from beyond the old stone wall at the edge of her garden. A glow that pulsed gently, as if calling her name. Intrigued and unable to resist, Mia grabbed her lantern and quietly slipped outside. The hidden gate. Mia tiptoed across the dewy grass, her lantern's soft light guiding her steps. When she reached the old stone wall, she noticed something she had never seen before. A small, ivy-covered gate that seemed to shimmer under the moonlight. The gate wasn't there during the day. She was sure of it. With a mix of excitement and hesitation, Mia pushed the gate open. It creaked softly, revealing a narrow, winding path lined with glowing flowers. The air was cool and filled with the sweet scent of night-blooming blossoms. As Mia stepped through, the gate closed behind her with a gentle click, and she felt as though she had entered a different world. The moon garden. The path led Mia into a breathtaking garden that seemed to stretch on forever. The flowers glowed with soft, ethereal light, their petals shimmering in shades of silver and blue. Gentle night creatures, like glowing butterflies and tiny, luminescent frogs, danced among the plants, their movements casting playful shadows on the ground. In the center of the garden stood a magnificent tree with silvery leaves that rustled softly in the breeze. At its base was a small, clear pond that reflected the moonlight like a mirror. Mia felt a sense of calm wash over her, as if the garden itself was welcoming her. As she explored, Mia met a wise old tortoise named Luma, whose shell sparkled like stardust. "Welcome, Mia," Luma said in a slow, gentle voice. "You have found the Moon Garden, a place that reveals itself only to those who seek its magic. The garden's magic." Luma explained that the Moon Garden was a place where the moon's magic was strongest. The flowers and creatures thrived under its glow, and the garden held secrets and wisdom for those who were willing to listen. Each night, the garden would share a different story. Stories of the stars, the earth, and the quiet magic that connected them all. As Mia wandered through the garden, she listened to the whispers of the flowers and the songs of the night creatures. She learned about the cycles of the moon, how its light guided travelers and nurtured the world below. She discovered that the garden's glow was a reflection of the moon's gentle power, a reminder of the beauty that could be found in the quiet, hidden corners of the world. The moon's gift. One evening, as Mia sat by the pond, watching the moon's reflection ripple on the water, Luma approached her with a soft smile. "You have listened well, Mia," he said. "The Moon Garden has a gift for you." Luma led Mia to the base of the silvery tree, where a single glowing flower bloomed. Its petals were delicate and translucent, and it pulsed with a gentle light. "This is the moon blossom," Luma explained. "It holds the garden's magic. Keep it close, and it will remind you of the wisdom you have found here." Mia carefully picked the flower, feeling its warmth in her hands. As she did, the garden around her began to fade, the glowing flowers dimming and the night creatures retreating into the shadows. She felt a gentle tug at her heart, knowing it was time to return home. The return home. When Mia stepped back through the ivy-covered gate, she found herself in her familiar backyard, the first light of dawn painting the sky with soft colors. The gate behind her had vanished, leaving only the old stone wall and the dewy grass beneath her feet. But the moon blossom in her hand glowed softly, a reminder that the Moon Garden had been real. Mia returned to her room, placing the flower by her window, where it caught the moonlight each night, a secret to cherish. From that day on, Mia felt the magic of the Moon Garden in everything she did. She noticed the beauty in the smallest things, the way the moonlight danced on the water, the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, and the soft glow of the stars overhead. She carried the garden's wisdom in her heart, knowing that magic could be found in the quietest moments. And every night, as she drifted off to sleep, Mia would feel the gentle glow of the moon blossom beside her, guiding her into dreams filled with glowing gardens, moonlit adventures, and the soft, whispering secrets of the night. The starship's dreamy voyage, opening The Boy Who Loved the Stars. In a small town tucked between rolling hills and open fields, lived a boy named Max who loved the stars more than anything. Every night, he would lie on his rooftop with a cozy blanket, staring up at the vast sky, tracing the constellations with his finger. He dreamed of soaring through the cosmos, visiting distant planets, and floating among the stars. Max often whispered his wishes to the night sky, hoping that one day the universe would answer. One clear, quiet night, as Max watched the stars twinkle, he noticed something unusual, a soft, humming sound, like a lullaby carried on the wind. Looking up, he saw a glowing star drifting closer, growing larger and brighter until it revealed itself as a small, shimmering starship. The starship hovered above his rooftop, its lights pulsing gently like a heartbeat. Without hesitation, Max climbed aboard, his heart pounding with excitement and wonder. The starship's doors closed softly behind him, and with a gentle hum, it lifted off into the sky, beginning a dreamy voyage through the cosmos. The journey begins. Inside the starship, the walls shimmered with stardust, and the windows framed breathtaking views of the universe. The controls seemed to move on their own, as if the starship knew exactly where to take him. Max settled into a soft, glowing seat, feeling the gentle vibration of the ship as it glided through the night. The starship sailed past familiar constellations, weaving between twinkling stars and glowing nebulae. Max gazed out in awe as planets of every color drifted by, some covered in soft, swirling clouds, others glowing like giant lanterns in the dark. The universe felt vast and peaceful, filled with a quiet magic that made Max feel both small and connected to everything around him. As the starship glided deeper into space, Max noticed a soft, melodic humming. The ship itself was singing, a gentle lullaby that resonated through the cabin and into Max's heart. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the music wash over him, feeling as though he was part of the stars themselves. Visiting the dream planets. The starship's first stop was a planet made entirely of soft clouds, floating like a giant, fluffy pillow in space. The ship gently touched down, and Max stepped out into a world where the ground was as soft as a feather and the air smelled sweet like vanilla. He bounced lightly with each step, laughing as he explored fields of glowing flowers and rivers of shimmering mist. As Max wandered, he met friendly cloud creatures who floated alongside him, their soft voices blending with the gentle breeze. They showed him how to shape the clouds into anything he could imagine. Castles, animals, even entire worlds. Max spent what felt like hours creating and exploring, his heart light and full of joy. When it was time to leave, the cloud creatures waved goodbye, their smiles warm and comforting. Max climbed back into the starship, and with a gentle hum, it lifted off, continuing its dreamy voyage. The ocean of stardust. The next stop was a vast, glowing ocean made of liquid stardust. The starship floated gently on its surface, and Max watched in awe as waves of light rolled beneath him, casting shimmering reflections on the ship's walls. He stepped out onto a small, glowing boat that appeared beside the ship, and with a soft push, he drifted across the sparkling sea. As Max sailed, He saw glowing sea creatures swimming beneath the surface, gentle, luminous whales that sang deep, soothing songs, and schools of tiny, twinkling fish that darted like shooting stars. The air was filled with the soft hum of the ocean's melody, and Max felt as though he was floating through a dream. Eventually, Max found a small island made of glowing crystals. He sat on the shore, watching the stardust waves roll in, feeling completely at peace. When it was time to leave, the starship welcomed him back with its familiar, gentle hum, and they continued their journey through the stars. The constellation creatures. The starship's final stop was a constellation garden, where the stars themselves formed gentle creatures that roamed freely through the cosmos. Max stepped out into a glowing meadow, where starry foxes darted between beams of light and glowing owls soared silently overhead. In the center of the garden stood a majestic, star-covered lion, its mane shimmering like 1,000 suns. The lion approached Max with a calm, regal presence, and spoke in a voice that sounded like the wind among the stars. "You have traveled far, Max," the lion said. "You carry the light of the stars within you now. Wherever you go, remember the peace and wonder you have found among the cosmos." Max nodded, his heart full of gratitude and awe. The constellation creatures gathered around him, their soft light blending with his own. And for a moment, Max felt as though he was part of the universe itself. The journey home. With a gentle hum, the starship carried Max back through the cosmos, retracing their path past glowing planets and shimmering nebulae. The stars outside the window twinkled softly, as if waving goodbye. As the ship approached his hometown, Max felt a warmth in his chest, knowing that he would never forget the dreamy voyage he had taken. The starship landed gently on his rooftop, and as Max stepped out, he watched the ship drift back into the sky, its lights blending with the stars above. He climbed back into bed, feeling the soft glow of the universe still within him. A dream to remember. From that night on, Max felt the stars' presence in everything he did. He would gaze at the night sky, tracing the constellations with a knowing smile, remembering the planets he had visited and the creatures he had met. The soft hum of the starship's lullaby echoed in his heart, guiding him into peaceful dreams each night. And as he drifted off to sleep, Max knew that the universe was vast and full of wonder, and that he had been a part of it, sailing among the stars on a dreamy voyage he would cherish forever. The lighthouse by the sea, opening, the beacon on the cliff. In a quiet seaside village called Seabreeze, where the waves whispered secrets to the shore and the salty breeze carried the scent of the ocean, there stood an old lighthouse on a cliff. The lighthouse had been there for as long as anyone could remember, its soft, golden light guiding sailors safely home through stormy nights. But to Sophie, a curious girl with a heart full of wonder, the lighthouse was more than just a beacon. It was a mystery waiting to be explored. Every evening, As the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Sophie would sit by her window and watch the lighthouse's gentle glow. She often wondered what secrets it held, what stories its walls could tell. One breezy night, with the moon high and bright, Sophie decided to find out for herself the hidden door. Sophie slipped out of her cozy cottage, the cool sand crunching beneath her feet as she made her way toward the lighthouse. The waves lapped gently at the shore, and the lighthouse's beams swept slowly across the dark sea, casting long, soft shadows. When she reached the base of the towering structure, she noticed something unusual. A small, hidden door partially covered by ivy. With a mix of excitement and curiosity, Sophie gently pushed the door open. It creaked softly, revealing a narrow, winding staircase that spiraled upward. The air inside was cool and filled with the faint scent of the sea. Holding her lantern high, Sophie began to climb, each step echoing through the lighthouse's hollow walls. The magical rooms. As Sophie ascended the lighthouse, she discovered that it was no ordinary building. Each floor held a magical room, filled with the wonders of the sea. The first room she entered was bathed in a soft, blue glow, with walls that shimmered like the ocean's surface. Gentle waves lapped at the floor, and tiny, glowing jellyfish floated gracefully through the air, their soft light casting dreamy reflections. In the next room, Sophie found shelves filled with seashells of every shape and size. When she held them to her ear, each shell whispered a different story. Tales of distant shores, sunken treasures, and friendly sea creatures. She listened for a while, enchanted by the ocean's secrets. Further up, Sophie discovered a room filled with floating bubbles, each one containing a tiny, glowing scene from the underwater world. She watched schools of colorful fish darting through coral reefs, graceful sea turtles gliding through the deep, and playful dolphins leaping through the waves. The room felt alive with the magic of the sea, the keeper of the lighthouse. Finally, Sophie reached the top of the lighthouse, where the light shone brightest. There, she met an old man with kind eyes and a warm smile, the lighthouse keeper. His name was Elias, and he had watched over the lighthouse for many years. "Welcome, Sophie," Elias said, his voice as gentle as the waves. "The lighthouse has been waiting for you." Sophie's eyes sparkled with wonder. "Waiting for me?" she asked. Elias nodded. "The lighthouse holds the stories of the sea, and it shares its magic with those who are curious and kind-hearted. You have a special connection to the ocean, Sophie. The lighthouse wanted you to see its secrets." The lighthouse's secret. Elias led Sophie to the giant lens at the top of the lighthouse. When she looked through it, she didn't just see the sea. She saw the ocean's heart. She saw glowing paths beneath the waves, where ancient sea creatures swam and hidden treasures sparkled. She saw the stories of sailors and the journeys of the waves, all woven together in a beautiful, endless dance. Elias explained that the lighthouse's light wasn't just for guiding ships. It was a beacon of hope and wonder, connecting the land to the sea and the people to their dreams. And now, Elias said, placing a small, glowing seashell in Sophie's hand, you carry a piece of that magic with you, the journey home. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Sophie knew it was time to return home. She thanked Elias and the lighthouse for sharing their secrets, and carefully tucked the glowing seashell into her pocket. She descended the winding staircase, her heart full of the ocean's magic and the lighthouse's stories. When Sophie stepped outside, the village of Seabreeze was just beginning to wake. The waves greeted her with gentle whispers, and the lighthouse's glow faded into the morning light. Sophie returned to her cozy cottage, placing the glowing seashell by her window, where it caught the sunlight and shimmered softly. A light to remember. From that day on, Sophie felt the lighthouse's magic in everything she did. She would sit by her window each evening, watching the lighthouse's beams sweep across the sea, knowing that it held stories waiting to be discovered. The glowing seashell by her bed whispered the ocean's secrets as she drifted off to sleep, guiding her into dreams filled with underwater adventures and moonlit waves. And every time she walked along the shore, Sophie felt connected to the sea's endless wonder, carrying the lighthouse's light within her heart, forever guiding her toward new adventures and peaceful dreams. The Enchanted Library, opening the book that whispered. In the heart of a bustling city, hidden behind ivy-covered walls and an ancient iron gate, stood a library unlike any other. The Eldoria Library was a place few knew about, and even fewer had entered. Its towering spires and arched windows gave it an almost magical aura. But it wasn't just the appearance that made it special. The books inside, they whispered. Ethan, a quiet boy with an insatiable curiosity, had always been drawn to stories. While others played outside, Ethan would lose himself in books, traveling to distant lands and meeting fantastical creatures within the pages. One rainy afternoon, while wandering the city's winding streets, Ethan stumbled upon the mysterious library. The gate creaked open as if inviting him in, and unable to resist, he stepped inside. The library's secret. The moment Ethan crossed the threshold, he felt a shift in the air, as if the building itself had taken a deep breath. The library was vast and dimly lit, with towering shelves that stretched endlessly upward. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light that streamed through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the wooden floors. As Ethan walked deeper into the library, he noticed something strange. The books weren't silent. They whispered soft, rustling sounds that seemed to call out to him. He paused beside an old, leather-bound book resting on a pedestal. When he opened it, the words began to glow, and he was pulled into the story. Literally, the worlds within the pages. Ethan found himself standing in the middle of a lush, enchanted forest, the air filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the gentle hum of unseen creatures. The book had transported him into its world. As he explored, he met a wise old owl who spoke in riddles and a mischievous fox who guided him through the forest's hidden paths. Each book in the library held a different world. Ethan traveled through floating islands suspended in the sky, sailed on shimmering rivers under starlit skies, and wandered through cities made entirely of glass. Every time he opened a new book, he was transported to a new adventure, meeting characters who felt as real as the world he had left behind. But there was something even more extraordinary. The stories began to remember him. Characters greeted him as an old friend, and places he had visited changed with each return, reflecting his influence. The library wasn't just a place to read stories. It was a place to live them, the story that needed him. One day, Ethan discovered a book unlike any other. It was bound in dark, shimmering leather with no title on its cover. When he opened it, the pages were blank. But as he touched them, words began to appear, forming a story about a world on the brink of darkness, where hope was fading, and only a traveler of tales could restore the light. Ethan realized this story was meant for him. The library had chosen him to be more than just a reader. He was to become a hero within its pages. Without hesitation, he stepped into the story. The quest to restore the light. The world Ethan entered was unlike any he had visited before. The sky was a deep, swirling gray, and the once vibrant landscapes were now shadowed and still. He met a group of characters: a brave young girl named Leora, a talking cat with emerald eyes named Finn, and an ancient tree spirit called the Los, all waiting for the traveler to help them. Together, they embarked on a journey to find the light of Eldoria, a magical source of hope hidden deep within the Cavern of Echoes. Along the way, Ethan faced challenges that tested his courage and heart. He navigated mazes of shifting shadows, solved riddles that revealed hidden truths, and confronted fears he didn't know he had. Through it all, Ethan learned that the library's magic wasn't just in the stories. It was within him. His belief, kindness, and bravery brought light back to the world. And when they finally reached the Cavern of Echoes, it was Ethan's voice that awakened the light of Eldoria, banishing the darkness and restoring balance. The return to the library. With the world saved, Ethan expected to return to his own. But when he opened his eyes, he found himself still in the enchanted library, standing before the now glowing book. The once blank pages were filled with the story he had just lived, and his name was written among the heroes. Ethan realized the library had given him more than adventures. It had given him a place where he truly belonged. The whispers of the books grew softer, as if thanking him, and the library felt warmer, alive with the stories Ethan had helped shape. A story never ends. From that day on, Ethan returned to the Eldoria Library whenever he could. He discovered new stories, faced new challenges, and made new friends within the pages. But he also knew that the library's magic wasn't confined to its walls. The courage and wonder he found there followed him into the real world, where every day became its own story. And at night, as he drifted off to sleep, Ethan could still hear the soft whispers of the books, calling him back to worlds waiting to be explored, reminding him that in the enchanted library, the story never truly ends.